Ready?
Yep. So the process starts out by using these strands of nichrome 80 wire. This is 22 gauge nichrome wire, nichrome 80. And we're pulling out about 40 centimeters for the strands. Okay?
Yep.
So we're going to need as straight a wire as we can make. And the best way to figure out how to do that is to put it into a vise and then twist and pull on it. So one end goes into the vise. The other end goes into the drill. Yeah, I've bent it up just a little bit in there so it stays in the chuck better. And then after that, you pull and twist. Okay, stop. Get going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is 30 centimeters of McMaster Carr ceramic braid, 16th inch, rated at 2500 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm threading the nichrome wire onto the braid. Just like that. Not so tough, really. And once you get it through, leave about 3-4 centimeters sticking out like that. Take the other one, put it up right next to it like this, and then twist the outside wire around the braid. Okay, so what we have here is I unwound it just a little bit, so about a couple centimeters is it's up on the braid about a couple of centimeters. This one's 3 centimeters long, this one's 2 centimeters long. That'll end up being about the same length if things work right. Then after that, these get cut off right at the ends of the shrink. And then these come back off. Okay, pause for a second. You going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now the solid one is going to be the inside one. So I put the short piece of shrink on the inside one and a longer piece of shrink on the striped one. So I do that, then these get stripped back about, I don't know, 2 or 3 centimeters. Okay, stop. Okay, so now I'm holding this about like that. So there's a little tiny bit left, as little as possible actually. Then you wind the copper wire around. This is 24 gauge wire from Ethernet cable. Okay, just like that. And take these flat pliers, this gets bent up. Like that. Cut off about 1 millimeter left on there. There's a little, not quite enough. And that gets bent back. Like that. I'm trying to rush and it didn't work quite as well. But the idea is that holds it good and tight. Then the shrink goes up over that, just like that. And the process is repeated for the other wire. Okay? The close-up of that. You running?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this nichrome wire was bent back the direction that it came from to kind of hold these wires really, really well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the shrink goes over and the shrink gets heated up to shrink. And then a 1/4 inch piece of shrink goes over the whole outside here. Okay, stop.
Okay.
Doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now I'm just taking this piece of 1/4 inch shrink and putting it over everything. And that covers up the braid here so the braid doesn't unravel. I'm going to leave a couple millimeters there. Not that you really have to, I guess. And this shrink will go around that nichrome that's wrapped, so that holds everything really tight now, so things don't slip around.
How many pots?
Yep.
Okay.
So what we have so far is the braid covered up by the shrink on both of the intersections there where we go from nichrome wire to the 24 gauge copper wire. And then I've stripped these back and I'm going to put the Cat 5 connector on now. So the striped one goes on orange stripe and the solid one goes on blue. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Okay, so I'm working on the hot end now. Piece of quarter inch shrink tubing goes over here, and we're gonna go pretty much just a little bit past the braid there. You'll see why in a minute. And then I'm gonna heat this stuff up again, making sure that my distance is just a tiny bit past the braid on this quarter inch shrink. Okay, stop for a sec. Okay, so I've shrunk down the tubing over here, and then as you can see, I left the end unshrunk, and so now I have another piece here that's about 2 centimeters long. This goes over here. This is going to help me get the width that I need set for the nichrome wires. The width on the nichrome wires is very, very important. Okay, pause.
Okay.
Okay, so the nichrome wire has to be exactly 1 millimeter apart down here. So I've stuck a 1 millimeter Allen wrench on in between the two nichrome wires. This is 1/8 inch shrink that I'm shrinking down underneath the quarter inch shrink right here. So I'm gonna, just keep running, I guess. So this part's kind of tricky because it's hard to hold on to everything. So I'm getting everything shrunk down really hot. And then before it cools off too much, I take these flat pliers here and squeeze it. Hold on to everything. I'm trying to get that exactly squashed down so my wires are coming out at exactly 1 millimeter apart from one another, like that. Okay, stop.
All right.
Okay, make sure we're focused on that thing. Not too close. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to look like there. The two nichrome wires coming out 1 millimeter apart. The yellow shrink helps get that distance set so it doesn't move around on us. Okay, so this is the rig I came up with here to do the next step of these sensors. So it's just a little drillery vise put on its side, held up on a turn on a binding wheel, and then after that I put the nichrome wire in a vise. And so before I put on the fine adjustments here, I take this and rough up that nichrome.
So stuff will stick on
So
it?
the stuff sticks on it better. Okay.
All right, there we go.
So that's what you're after right there.
Okay.
We're ready for the next step.
All right.
Okay, so I've roughed up that metal a little bit, and now I'm getting all of my body oil off of those wires by taking this rag dipped in isopropyl alcohol and cleaning them off real good. Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead. So this little section of this paper is 7 millimeters in length. So I put that paper at the bottom of my probes, and then I'm using it as a gauge to mark 7mm marks on the nichrome wires.
Yep.
So this is the secret sauce right here. Currently this is Rutile with, it's 65 grams of Rutile, 15 cc's of water, and 15 cc's of yellow construction glue. And so you mix it up, you put it through a mesh, and then it's really important to keep a lid on it because the stuff will develop a skin on it really quick. And so what I'm doing here is I mix it up, and then I'm using a syringe here to pull the stuff out of the middle of the jar, so I don't get stuff on the bottom, I don't get skin on the top. It's as pure and consistent as possible. This is a little cap from a chapstick thing, and then I'm using the syringe here to fill it up. Okay, so now take this little cap and you shove it up to those lines that we made, very, very carefully, and then I move it around a little bit, swish it around a little bit, pull it down, and then at this point I don't want this stuff stuck on the bottom. I just want the wires coated. That's all I want right there. And then I blow dry it with the dryer. Okay, pause.
All right.
Okay, so it's been dipped once and dried for about 10 seconds. And now I'm dipping it a second time. This time I'm expecting a drip to drip off the bottom there. In fact, I might even help it a little bit if it doesn't do it by itself. Take a little bit of really thin gauge wire here and let it come off. I don't want all of that on there right now. So that's about right there. It's a little bit much. I really don't want it to ball up on the bottom very much. And then you hit it with the dryer.
All right.
Okay, so now I'm taking this slip trailing tool here, and I'm filling in that gap from where the drip stopped, and the top of those marks that I made. I do that on one side, and then I turn around and do it on the other side. And just try and make things as clean and consistent as possible. I'm kind of fighting against gravity here a little bit, so this is probably the spot where I get the most variation in the process. I don't know what to do about it. And we dipped it twice, and then we used the slip trail tool to fill in the middle in between the wires a little bit. Now this is mainly just water. Sometimes I put a little bit of the solution titanium dioxide Rutile in here. But what I'm trying to do is just get, if there's any bubbles, any little craters from bubbles, this gets it out. And it smooths up that surface so it's as uniform as I can get it. And once I get done with this, I'll dry it off one more time, about 10-15 seconds. Okay, pause.
All right.
So this is a thimble. Happens to be an antique thimble from my great-grandma.
Great-grandma Best.
Yeah. It's full of kale wool that has been crushed and forced through a tea strainer. So it's like this little, it looks like an illegal drug, if people might know what I'm talking about there. That's what it looks like, and I'm using this little piece of fine gauge wire to fluff it up. Okay. Okay, this is a mixture of water and the titanium solution, and I'm just coating it quickly here. I'm going to take the thimble full of the kale wool here and push it up on to the sensor. I'm hoping this will help with the cracking that I have with the titanium dioxide. I think it's fired. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it gets coated with the Kaowool. And now I just kind of really carefully push that in. So after that last step, it just sits in the vise for about 10 minutes or so. It dries pretty fast, especially if you hit it with the dryer. Now it's ready to go into kiln and get sintered.